Hello. Hi, Charlotte.
Hey, hi, Kelly.
Welcome, everyone, to our very second Hire webinar. So, as you are joining, why don't you pop in the comments, let us know where you are dialing in from in the world, and we will get started very, very shortly. Where are you dialing in from, Charlotte?
So I'm in sunny Ipswich in Suffolk in the UK. Yeah, just a little bit outside of London.
You're not too far from me. I'm in London and it is actually very sunny today, which gives me a lot of hope for the weekend because we've got a bank holiday coming up here in the UK.
It's going to be very good. I do stand-up paddle boarding, so I'm hoping that the weather's going to be good so I can get out on my board at the weekend.
Amazing. That is very cool. I have nothing as exciting planned. Oh, well, I guess for a little bit of an intro as we let people join. So like I said, you are very welcome. This is our second webinar with Hire. So do let us know where you're dialing in from. Oh, we've got Claire in sunny Manchester. Do you know what? We've got sunshine all right today.
It's all good. It's a sunny day for internships, right?
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you all here. So my name is Kelly McGrath-Smith and I'm the Community Director here at Hire. So we're really, really delighted to have everyone with us today. And I guess for anyone who might be new, Hire is a free-to-join global community of HR and talent acquisition professionals. So we've got over 10,000 members at the moment within our Slack community and growing every day. So if you do work internally in TA and HR and you're not already a member, please do join us. You can go to hirehq.com. There's lots of great informative conversations going on in the Slack channel. And we obviously do these weekly webinars as well. We like to think of ourselves almost as like the hive mind of global TA as well. So we're really kind of united on a mission to level up the industry, and part of that mission is to, give back by bringing you these weekly webinars. So like I said, this is just our second one. So, very exciting times here. And I'm delighted to be joined by Charlotte Stegel, who will be leading today's webinar, which is all around getting started with internships. So we're in for a real treat today. Charlotte, did you want to do a quick intro on yourself?
Sure. So I realized the other day, actually, that I've worked with young people for almost a decade, which makes me feel quite old. But my background, when I came out of university a very long time ago, I actually did Japanese and I lived abroad. I used to translate video games. And then after 6 years abroad, I came back to the UK and I figured I have had a lot of really great work opportunities, just through being in the right place at the right time. And I fell into early careers and sort of how to make things more fair, how to make things more so that every young person, if they want to, they can have equal access to opportunity. So I've worked in apprenticeship recruitment. I've worked in diversity and inclusion projects, a really great one with the University of Suffolk and the University of Cambridge, looking into working class children and how they can access different opportunities. And then in my previous role, I head up early careers for a big tech company called Aviva. And then currently I'm at Kubrick Group. We're a hire, train, deploy consultancy. We're really passionate about making data roles accessible to all graduates. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Amazing. Oh, well, we're in very safe hands for this webinar then. I've seen we've got a few more comments from people letting us know where they're joining from. So we've got Alba in London, Joe all the way from Edinburgh, Finn in sunny Bath. There's a bit of a theme going on with the sunshine today. So we're manifesting the good weather. Well, I guess, that's kind of where we're at the moment, Charlotte. I will hand over to you for your webinar. What I'm going to do is I will turn my camera off when you're presenting just so that you can have the floor. But I will be here in the background if anyone has any questions and any tech support, and I will rejoin at the end.
Very nice. Good stuff. And please do, everyone, I can see everyone's comments and stuff. So if you have questions, I really want to make sure that Kelly and I had a chat a couple of months ago about, early careers and whether a webinar would be a good thing. And we realized that actually within the community, quite a lot of people were asking questions about internships. And I think it's something that you do have some companies where you have set early careers teams and that, everyone's set up to do those internships. But then equally, you have companies that aren't set up for internships and it's kind of like sprung upon you. So I really want to make sure that I'm answering people's questions and making sure I'm hitting all the right notes and stuff for you. So please do mention in there. And I see that also we have Chelsea from Texas, which is really great. I'd say probably 90% of what I'm going to say is sort of UK centric, but I have experience recruiting interns all over the world. So I'm going to try and speak about the UK, but also other countries as well. So again, if you have like international questions and stuff too, please do pop them in and I'll be sure to help. Okay, right, let's get cracking. So why are internships a good idea? And I think this is really good because sometimes the idea about internship programs comes from the TA team themselves. Sometimes it's asked upon you. But if you are in the position where you have to, justify why it's a good idea, from the student's point of view, I think experience of workplaces is really important. And when I'm speaking to students right now, they studied through the pandemic. And a lot of them are very conscious that they're lacking in the social skills, or they feel that they're lacking in the social skills that will help them be in the workplace. We see time and time again in lots of different surveys and reports and stuff that Gen Z want to be in the workplace. They don't want to work from home. They want to work in the office because they want to get that, absorb everything. So it's really good for them. It's a try before you buy. If you're looking to recruit early careers, graduates and stuff in the future, you can test out their skills and see if you want to be able to take them on long term. And it's a chance for them to put their knowledge into use. I think there's a lot of narrative, especially at school leaver age, but also at university, from businesses around, they don't teach this and they don't teach that, and they're not preparing graduates for the world of work. They're not preparing them for this kind of work. This is as employers, this is our chance to actually influence that. If you know X, Y, and Z college or university have courses that kind of prepare their graduates for your line of work, but it's not quite there, this is a really good opportunity for you to plug that gap, and give them those extra skills so that when they do come out of university, they're the right fit for your organization. And then from the organization point of view as well, it's creating that talent pipeline. One of the biggest differences between the UK and the US that I've seen is that in the US, there's lots of internships, but hardly any graduate programs. But in the UK, we're almost the flip side of that. There's a lot of competition from the employer's side at the graduate level stage, because there's lots of companies that have graduate programs, but we're not really investing in those internships. And if you're finding that you're not attracting the diversity or the caliber at graduate stage, then having an internship where you're feeding into that is a no-brainer, really. It takes a little bit of an effort, but I think in comparison to really going shoulder to shoulder with people who've got those well-established graduate programs, it's a really easy way to cut the queue and get the best people in for you. Again, it's try before you buy. If you want to see what the student can do before you take them on permanently, then it's a good thing. And also it creates a faster onboarding for the graduates. I think there's a lot of talk right now about employee experience and making sure that whether it's like discussing what the hybrid situation looks like or how to onboard people in this new normal. If you have people who've spent 3 months as an intern with you, that whole process is going to be a lot quicker for you. First things first. So just setting out some basics. What is an intern? And sometimes we do have to, especially in the TA world, we have to explain what the difference between an intern and a graduate and apprentice is. An intern is a current student who works for a fixed period of time with the intention to grow their skills. And I think when you're looking at all the different early careers opportunities, the intention there is very different. If you have an apprentice, then it's a permanent employee, and their intention is to gain that qualification and dedicate that time to their studies alongside work. With a graduate, they've got that basics collection of skills, and they're building upon it. But this is to grow their skills, to put those skills into good use. Now, I say a current student, there's nothing, depending on where you are in the world, speaking from the UK, and even in certain cases in the US, there's nothing legally stopping you from taking on a graduate as an intern, as a short-term placement. However, it's not really the ethos of what it's about. It's growing those skills. They're taking what they've learned in the classroom and putting it into good use. So it is best practice to reserve internships for current students. And if you do want to take on graduates, then make a graduate program or have a graduate placement or something like that. They last from 3 months to a year, typically. I mean, obviously that can be different. If you do a year long, a lot of universities are crying out for placement students. So either they have like a sandwich year, or maybe they do part-time alongside their second year or something like that. Your local universities will be crying out for more opportunities. So if you are willing to take someone on for a year, then please do look into those. They can be full-time, they don't have to be. You can do a fixed-term contract and on a certain amount of hours, depending on what the needs are. Pay is an important topic. Please don't have unpaid interns. It really, for social mobility, it really isn't great. For diversity, it really isn't great. The average in the UK is around 23k. Now, it does depend on what the skills are. If you're wanting them to have a lot of coding skills first, then obviously that might be a little bit higher. If you're, I don't know, maybe in Bath, there isn't so much demand and the cost of living might be a little bit low, although I don't know, Bath seems to be quite an expensive place. If you're in a place where the cost of living is cheaper, then maybe the salary would be a little bit cheaper, but I'd say around 23k is appropriate. And you can take them on student visas, but if your intention is for that pipeline to happen, then just be really explicit as to what your intentions are, because if they're on a graduate visa, if they're on a student visa, they're on a graduate visa for 2 years. If you have no intention, or if you aren't able to take them on and sponsor them after that 2-year period is over, then just be transparent about it, because it's, I think that lack of transparency is a big issue, basically. Cool. So things to plan. So when you're thinking about creating an internship, I think the first thing is, what's the aim of it? And a lot of people don't start off from this. There could be, you could want to create your pipeline, like I've said. It could be that you actually have a project or a certain, group of a bit of work that needs to be done over the summer holidays or something. It could be, and I'm not recommending this, but I think within the TA world, we understand that this happens sometimes. It could be that someone's senior and there has a niece or nephew who needs a placement for the year, for the summer. Let's be honest, it does happen sometimes. It hurts me in my heart when that happens, but sometimes that is the motivation behind an internship. But understand what the aim is can really help you shape what's going to happen afterwards. The next thing to think about is what will the intern and the team have achieved by the end? So if you are working on a certain project, what are the actual skills that they're going to be put into place? Because then, again, from a recruitment point of view, you can understand what are the very basics that we're going to ask of them, and what can we help them grow with, what are the skills that they can grow. And then with the team as well, is there a certain thing that the interns can really make their mark on and say that they've achieved, something they can put on their resume or CV. Who the manager will be, this is a really big one. A lot of companies will fall down on giving interns to aspiring managers. Oh yeah, Charlotte over there, yeah, she's ready to step up into leadership. Let's give her a few interns just to practice with, and then she'll be fine. You want to give your most experienced, or your strongest managers to be matched with the interns. I think especially if you're going to do it for like a couple of months or so, you really want to have somebody who has strong management skills from the start, have a safe and steady pair of hands for that person. If they get off on the wrong foot, then it's kind of hard to turn things around in 3 months. And also, I think Gen Z are very nuanced in what they want and what they ask of us as employers. And I think having a more experienced manager will really help manage their expectations of what a workplace can give them, but also understand, what are things that the organization will need to take on board, what are changes, and what's the feedback that can be given to them. And then lastly, thinking about what happens after the internship. I know in the past I've had, we've put into the agreement that if things go well, if they pass their check-in, their mini probation, that they are automatically given a place on our graduate programs. If you're not wanting to do that, then that's completely fine. But just having, especially with Gen Z, they're very progression oriented. So being specific about if it goes well, then this may happen, or if there is no intention, then just being explicit about that, because then they can manage their expectations and stuff as well. Timing. So I think timings is something that people quite often worry about, because we're working with the academic year as well. The big names, the big companies, the Microsofts and Amazons and everything, they will be working to a very set calendar year. They'll be going out in the autumn or the fall to the careers fairs, getting everything sorted before January. So doing the recruitment process before January, having the contracts and stuff ready to go for the summer. And I think especially in the UK, the demand for internships, there's more people more good quality students wanting internships than there are opportunities available. So I think especially in the UK, don't let that deter you. But I think even in other countries like the US, Canada especially is a great place to be recruiting for interns. There's a definite need for more internship opportunities there. Don't let it deter you. I think it's very possible to hire good interns outside of that schedule. And I think it's important to say as well, because there are organizations out there who will have their budgets approved in April, and you won't know how many interns, how many graduates, whatever you're going to be recruiting for until April. And then it gets to the 24th of May and you're like, oh crikey, I've got to recruit a whole bunch of interns. Because that leads me on to the next point. It's very possible to hire good interns with a very little lead time. I have done it. I put the exclamation mark there because I have done that before. I've recruited incredibly good people with not very much lead time, but it's not advisable. I mean, it's going to be high volume, going on to my next point. So you do need time to work through that. But if your organization, due to whatever the budget calendar is, if they're not giving you enough time to work with that academic year, don't worry about it. It is possible. You may lose a couple of nights sleep over it, but it's doable. And then the last thing to say is to avoid assessments and events during the exam season. So just be mindful. Usually around, end of January, February time is kind of like a no-go zone. And around this time is a bit of a no-go zone as well. So if you are, and I'll talk about tools and things in a little bit as well, but if you have like events, if you're doing like in-person assessment days, for example, just avoid those times, because then you can make sure that everyone who wants to be taken into consideration for your opportunity is able to do so. Just a quick pause to shout out in the comments. Please do throw any comments, any questions and stuff. It really helps me. I've when I sat down to think about, okay, what is there to talk about with this? I think you could talk for days and days about internships, but I've tried to put, if you're coming into it from zero, what would you want to know? So if there are things that I'm not touching upon that you would like to know, then please do pop in the comments and I'll be sure to cover that. Okay, next. So attraction. my favorite topic. I really like it because I think it's the attraction, the talent attraction scene right now is really exciting. There's so many really cool things going on, so many different innovative ways of doing your employee value proposition and everything. It's one of my favorite topics. Now, I can't send you links on this, but if you open up whatever search engine you use, look for NatWest internships. This is a really good example of a good page, a landing page for the internships. The reason why I like it is because it really explains clearly and in very clear language. It explains what is going to be asked of the students. It gives really good explanations of different teams that they could be in. Thank you, Kelly. I see that you've popped that in as well. I think it's a really good example. And when you're writing these things, put yourself in the student's position and don't think, depending on the diversity of your organization, don't think, oh, you know, people who we already have, like young employees that we already have, don't think from their point of view. Think about, will everyone be able to be understanding what we're asking of them? That person who is the first person in their family to go to university, will they understand? Especially if you're in a field where it's not immediately understandable what that person does, will somebody who has never experienced someone who does that job before, will they be able to understand what is being asked? I'm waffling. Hopefully it's understandable. Just speak in plain language, and don't assume that students understand what you are and what you do and what they will be asked to do, because I think if you do get that language right and get it clear, then you will definitely attract a wider range of people there. Yes, Claire, you've asked a really good question about experience. I'm going to put a pin in that one and answer it in a little bit, if that's okay. Targeting universities. So think about, in the UK, posting opportunities is a pain in the bum, because you have to go directly to each university and create a login and then post your opportunity and then go out and then go into the next university and post it. In the US, it's really easy because there's Handshake, and you can have a free account there. It's perfectly fine. It's really easy in the US because you're like, right, here's a bunch of universities. I'm just going to click all the, tick all the boxes and pop those in there. In the UK, it's a lot more time intensive. So definitely pick a couple of universities that you do want to target. Don't just go with the big names. You will have really, really good students in your local universities. And they will be, I'm local to Cambridge. I've had a lot of really good students coming from Anglia Ruskin University. Arguably, some of the if you put them side by side with the University of Cambridge, that you've got two very different demographics there, but definitely they stand up and they're really, really good. So don't just go for the big names. Do look at your local universities as well. You don't have to do wizardry on TikTok to get applicants. Now, please don't think, oh, crikey, I've got to recruit a load of interns. We need to go and do whatever the latest dance is on TikTok. We don't have to do a Wes Anderson video, whatever, on TikTok in order to get that. If that's something you want to do, and maybe if you have like young employees who want to get involved and create content for you, then that might be a good thing to do. But you don't have to use TikTok in order to apply. And connections with local universities will give you a boost. If you're in an industry that isn't instantly understood by students, then you may need to do a little bit of legwork with the universities. There are, depending on the university's career team, it may be some universities are really on it, and they have a load of events that you can get involved with for free. They're really innovative in how they partner with their employers. So it's if you are going to hire young people or people just coming out of education, it is good to partner with some universities anyway, and you can get a lot of mileage from that as well. Okay. recruitment process. So like I said, it's you're going to get a lot of applications. And I think if you go into this using just your ATS and manual processes, I think you're not going to get the best out of the process, and there's going to be a lot of work to do. Here are some of the tools that I either recommend or I have used. So first of all, you've got HireVue, which is a one-way interview platform, so that you can either write or record questions, and then the applicants will record their answers. The pros of this is that you can get through a lot of applicants very quickly, and it's really good for bringing down a shortlist. The downside is that, in my experience, diverse applicants don't complete this as much. And so you may find that if you're attracting a wide range of students, those students may drop off at this point in the process. And the thing is as well, you know, if you're looking at recording yourself, it's not always comfortable, right? And if you're looking at attracting diverse students, they're probably not going to be targeted just by you. They're probably going to be targeted by a lot of different companies. So if your process, and to go a little bit, I know you're talking about employee internship experience in general, Claire, but really looking into your recruitment experience. If it's not smooth and if it's not enjoyable, then they're going to go with the other company, and all of your hard work will go out the window. I'm not saying that that's definitely what happens with HireVue, but just really think, does it fit with what you want? And so TopScore's really great. So they're a platform where you can have like online assessment days. So you can do like activities. You can have, if you have a number of different stakeholders, for example, they can come onto the call and then they can do the scores. There's like a nice little scorecard and stuff to make sure that things are fair. Really good. And you can like have it branded and stuff so that you can have it branded towards your organization. Codility I've used in the past. They're really good for technical exercises. What I like about them is that because you can't expect for students to have the skills that you already that you need. So what they do, some of the time, that what you want to assess is what's their capability for learning. So that they can, within the assessment, say, here's how to do this, and then test them on this a few moments later. So how much of that did they pick up, and will they be able to pick things up in the workplace quite easily? So I like that. Equalture and Arctic Shores, I haven't had hands-on experience with, but I've looked into them quite extensively. They're both platforms that they assess in different ways, but with to try and make things equal. Like Arctic Shores, for example, they gamify it, and it might not, like I don't know, if you're quite a corporate organization that's quite, quite corporate, for example, it may not be the right vibe for your process. But I think definitely looking at things like how do neurodiverse people encounter your recruitment process is an important thing to think about. And if you are looking into those things, then looking into Arctic Shores and Equalture and stuff would be a good thing to do. I'm just going to pause because, I'm going to go back to Claire's, because as we talk about experience, are there any organizations who you would say are creating a really good internship experience? I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, there's a lot of, it depends on what the student, what you want to get out of it, I think, and what the students want to get out of it. So I wouldn't be able to name drop any companies that are doing really well. Looking at like the hashtag on LinkedIn of early careers or like internship program, you can see a lot of good examples of things that they're doing. What are they doing to stand out to students? In-person stuff is really important, and making sure that is accessible. So if you do have students who have to relocate, then having a little bit of a budget to be able to support with them, just in case they're not able to, if your office is in central London, if you only target people who are financially able to commute into central London, then you're not going to get a wide range of people. So just having that in-person contact, but making sure that a wide range of people are able to access that is important. I think also, and I talk about it in a moment as well, but thinking about not just the work skills, how can you help them be more confident? Can you offer like a mentoring program for them long term? Can you get them involved in lots of different things? Because belonging is really important to Gen Z. So how can you create an experience where they see your organization as somewhere that they can commit to and grow? I think I did a talk a couple of weeks ago, and the average Gen Z, don't quote me on this because I can't remember exactly what it is, the average Gen Z employee stays in a company just a little bit shy of 2 years, I believe, which if you're looking at that pipeline thing, you've got the internship that you've invested time and energy into, nurturing these students, and then they come into your organization, but they only stay a year and a half. That's a lot of investment that's just gone out of the window. So really looking at belonging, making sure that they understand if they do stay loyal to you, what could they achieve? Where could they go? It's good. Chelsea's, it's also good to target universities that excel in targeted programs. Yes. So Central Michigan University has a great sales program for students. It's always good to approach, recruit, and attend campus events. Yes, absolutely. Looking into if this internship program is something that you want to do long term, then definitely looking into what colleges or universities have lectures, courses that align with what you need, because they will all be quite different. Completely agree. Very nice. Good. Right. I'm going to go on to the next one. Diversity. Now, I've talked about diversity a lot. It's something that's very close to my heart. I often see people posting, how do we get more diverse applicants? How do we do this? And it's not like an overnight thing. It's not like a switch. And also, if you're not getting diversity in your applicant pool, it's probably not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just tweaking things and almost doing like A/B testing with stuff. Like if you post in this place, how does that affect applicants? If you tweak the application process in this way, how does that affect things? So don't recruiters out there, don't be hard on yourself if you're not getting those diverse applicants there. There is no diverse job board. It's not like you can post your jobs in one place and then magically diverse people happen, right? It's all about looking at who applies organically. Who do you want to apply? Who is there already? Who do you want to apply? Because if you are doing a targeted campaign, if you want to increase the amount of Black people applying to your internships, then that process and that strategy is going to look really different to if you want to try and have more people with disabilities applying to your internship program. So really thinking about who do you want, and you can't, especially if you don't have, if you're short on time and short on resources, you are not going to hit every single demographic. So really being specific about who do you want. And it could be that year one, you target X demographic, and then year two, you build on that and you target B demographic, and you sort of build on year. And then looking at that demographic and how can you build out that strategy. So I want to give a shout out to my friends at Tap In. They're really good at they're good at understanding how to get more Black talent into your applicant pool. And the first time I encountered them, it was Mills, who owns the company. He got everyone to stand up in the room and he said, sit down when you don't know this Black influencer on the screen. And I was like, yeah, I know influencers. I'm like chronically online. I know my stuff with this kind of thing. The first one was Stephen Bartlett. Yeah, it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be fine. The next one, I have no idea. And like all of the rest, I had no idea about. And the point was that when you're not in that community, even if you have the right intentions, you probably don't know where people in that community are online. You don't know the language that they're using. And it's not because you're not a good ally or you're XYZ. It's just because you don't understand from that point of view. And it's easier said than done, but building out a diverse talent acquisition team probably is going to be a good thing. But otherwise, partnering with people like Tap-In or getting a disability confident award, going through that process to make sure that everything is aligned with that is good, are all good things to do. And then looking at the data, again, I've been in situations where I don't have access to a lot of data. Kubrick, being a data company, is really brilliant at actually having a lot of data about every single step in the way, so I can see what is happening. Obviously, I can't see the diversity data of individuals, but I can see on a sort of data point of view what is happening along each point of the process, so I can see, okay, there's maybe an issue at this point, or we need to retweak certain other points in the process. Okay, but it's not going to happen overnight, just to go back to my initial thing. So don't be hard on yourself, and it is a very long process, but caring about it is the first step, I think, and caring about it not just from a tick box exercise, but really looking into like a 360 view of what it's like. Joe has just asked a very good question. So before I go on, how are companies changing their internships to fit people with neurodivergence? Very nice, really good question. This is something that's on a lot of companies' minds, I think, because unfortunately, I think in the past, people have overlooked people with neurodiversity. And there's a lot of very brilliant people who can do very brilliant things within the neurodivergent community. I think I can only speak from a personal point of view, and I haven't, from a personal point of view, what we have done at Kubrick is that we have looked at every point in the process and from a neurodivergent point of view. So if we're asking them to do, so here's an example. We have reasonable adjustments, and it's not great to ask the applicant, what do you want? Because maybe they don't know what they want. They don't know what's available. So we have a menu of things so that every recruiter has the same options to give, and we know the pros and the cons. One thing that we did play with is giving people the questions to interviews in advance. However, what we find is that it doesn't always set them up for success, because if they script their answers too much, then actually it doesn't come across as natural, and it doesn't really, so leaving some sort of in the moment answer is important, we feel. So what our head of diversity has done, and we're sort of taking inspiration from, is when she was recruiting recently, she verbally said the question and then posted the question in writing in the chat, so that somebody can like listen to it, take it in, read it, have a moment to think about it, and then answer. So I think the biggest thing, to go back to your question, Joe, within the recruitment process, I think that is thinking about those types of things, how we can support people is really important, but on the job as well. A lot of managers are going through training about neurodiversity and how to support people. I've known in the past, managers get, if you have an employee who says, I am X or I am Y, there's a good support network where they can get resources and get advice and stuff as well. I think it depends on the company, and I don't know about every company, but in my experience, there's been some good improvements, and hopefully more neurodiverse people are able to shine in different workplaces. It's a good question to ask in interviews, though, actually, Joe. If you're interviewing for different internships, then definitely say, what support do you have? And I don't think people would discriminate against, because obviously it'd be illegal to do so. But on the flip side, if people do hold that against you, then maybe that's not the right workplace for you. Okay, the last topic, I believe, is building and maintaining relationships, which is important if you're doing this from a pipeline point of view. So you may wish to put on sessions, and this maybe goes into what we were saying, Claire. You may want to put sessions on about workplace skills. If you are targeting female students and you're in like a STEM industry, for example, maybe you can have a senior leader, female senior leader, to come and talk about what does it look like and feel like to be a senior leader. How do you, if you walk into a meeting and you're asked to take the notes or asked to make the tea, how do you interact with that situation? Doing those kinds of things can have a lot of mileage, I think. Networking events is really important. ESG. So if you have employee resource groups and things, then getting them involved, like seeing if your interns can sit into the meetings and stuff is really good, because again, belonging is really important. So if they feel that they can bring their full self to the workplace, then they're going to want to be with you long time. Having regular check-ins, so not just with whoever their line manager is, having somebody hopefully within an early careers team or maybe the L&D team who has regular check-ins with them just to make sure everything is okay is good. You may want to consider a comms strategy for after the internship is finished. If you want to turn those interns into full-time employees, then maybe you want to have some sort of like mini newsletter, have some corporate updates and stuff. Sending them off with some eco swag is good for marketing. Eco because, not generalizing or anything, but the next generation do care more about sustainability than older generations. So if you have a nice tote bag that's made, in sustainable ways and they're carrying it on campus, then easy marketing, easy win. Also, I keep on, every now and then I do some research into what eco swag options are available, and I think more and more companies that are in that sort of space are creating cool things. But there's a restaurant in London, I don't know if everyone is, there's Oaxaca in London. They have like it looks like a matchbook, but you sort of break it off and plant it and it turns into like a herb or something like that. You can get those that are branded to your company. So, and it's kind of cheesy, and it maybe not is good for marketing because it's not something that they'll carry around on campus, but there's lots of different cool options out there. And then long-term mentoring program. I haven't done this myself. I would really love to in the future. But I heard a while back at an early careers conference that a company was doing like a mentoring program. So let's say, for example, you were in a tech company, they've done an internship, they've got, a year or more left of their degree. So they go back off to university. What if you have like a commitment of somebody in the company to meet up with them for an hour every other month or so, and then the student can talk to them about their projects and their coursework and stuff and just get some insight. Hey, have you thought about talking about this? I think that's quite a nice thing. Well, obviously it's time intensive and stuff as well, but I think it's an exciting thing to do. Marianne has said, who doesn't like a goodie bag? Exactly. Everyone loves a goodie bag, especially if it's eco. It's all good. Good. Okay, cool. We have 15 minutes left. I didn't waffle too much, but please do pop questions in there. I feel that I touched upon lots of a wide range of things. Hopefully I've answered questions that people have come with. But if I haven't, please do pop them in there.
I'm back.
That was a lot of waffling. Sorry, Kelly.
Amazing. No, really, really insightful. I was also scribbling down little notes myself. There were so many like nuggets of inspiration. I think one of the things that really stood out to me was kind of your early slide around the managers for the interns. And actually, if I think back to like, I don't know, 14, 15 years ago, when I was earlier in my career, I was given interns to manage. And actually, I didn't know what I was doing back then. And what you were saying in terms of, interns are probably the group that need the most experienced managers. So that is a really amazing takeaway when you're looking at, what is that structure of management line?
They come and again, this is generalizing. I lead my team are recruiters and team leads. They're not interns or current students, but they are primarily Gen Z. And I learn as much from them as I think they do from me, hopefully. But I really love how they challenge me quite often. Like there's somebody on my team, and we laugh about it a lot, but there's someone on my team who's like, 4-day work week, come on, let's be progressive. Why are we not progressive? Like, why are all these companies doing all of these different working styles and we're not? And I think if you're not secure in yourself as a manager and able to answer, this is why we can't at the moment, then I think it's going to be difficult to have those conversations and sort of manage expectations as well. But I really love the energy and the progressive thought that Gen Z bring to the workplace.
Yeah. And what you were saying as well in terms of, belonging is key. And actually, if you're looking at nurturing that talent and turning your interns into full-time employees, be it now or in the future, that's a huge aspect that you need to focus on.
Yeah. We have so we're just starting our sort of employee group journey at Kubrick, because the company itself was started in 2016, so we're still quite young. But one thing that our head of diversity, Dana, has been doing recently is am I the problem? So it's inspired from the Reddit the thing that goes on there, but it's talking about different situations. We had one during Ramadan, so things through a Muslim point of view. So if during Ramadan, if a colleague eats in front of you, are they the problem? For example, we had one for Black History Month as well, and we've got one coming up for Pride. And I think getting your interns involved in those types of things, maybe they can help produce it from the inside. Maybe they can help curate the questions, getting them involved in those types of things. If they feel comfortable to do so, it can really show them that actually you're a company that cares about the nuances of a wide range of humans, that they can be themselves there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we've got a few more moments. So if anyone has any questions that you want to pop in, or anything even in terms of like main takeaways, do let us know. I've also earlier on popped in the chat the link for the NatWest Group internship program that we spoke about, Charlotte, as well. So if you're tuned in now on LinkedIn Live, or if you watch the replay, if you look at the comments, that link will be in there for you too.
Speaking of which, you just reminded me of my second link, so thank you for that. So if you are starting up an internship program from scratch, the CIPD, if you Google CIPD internship checklist, they have a really good. It takes you to a page. Thank you, Kelly. If you scroll down about halfway there, there's a link to a checklist, and you download a PDF, and it's actually really good. Obviously because it's CIPD, but you can there's like little boxes to fill in that talks about a lot of the things that I spoke about today. So if you do need something quite robust to be able to checklist and use with different stakeholders within your business, it's a good thing to use, I think.
Amazing. And I've popped that there in the comments as well, so you can find the link. We've got a comment from Claire saying just a thank you, really interesting and insightful. Thanks, Claire. And then Sarah, thank you so much. This has been great information.
It's good. I hope, because I know that this is sprung upon people sometimes. And like I said, there are different motivations for doing internships. But hopefully people can take some stuff away from this to be able to be a little bit more equipped. And again, just a shout out to the hire community as well. I think we have one thing that I love about it is that you can ask questions, and everyone's so helpful. And if it's early careers related, we have a little early careers community there too. But people, you can ask questions from the heart there, and lots of people answer.
Absolutely. And we've just got a question here from Mariana saying, I find some managers really want to have interns, but no budget for them. Any idea how best we could tackle this?
I think working with, like, if your organization has HR business partners, then working with them to work on the workforce planning and stuff. I've worked in places before where the average age of certain teams is really on the higher side, and they really need to look at the pipeline there of the talent. So I think going from that angle as well. But I think in this day and age, when people don't have budget for certain things, it is difficult. But maybe having the plans in place just in case budget can be realigned, but definitely going down the workforce planning route maybe is the best way to sell it to senior stakeholders.
Amazing. Well, I think that's probably about it, but do pop another question in while I'm waffling on towards the end, and we'll see if we have time to get to it as well. But Charlotte, thank you so much for that. That was absolutely amazing, really, really insightful. We will have the replay on LinkedIn Live, so you can always revisit this if at some point you actually find yourself managing an internship program and you want to revisit what we've discovered and discussed here. So do feel free to log back in. And I guess for anyone who is new here to Hire, we are a global community of talent acquisition and HR folk. We've got over 10,000 members at the moment. So if you're not a member, we would love to have you join us in our Slack community. So to join us, just go to hirehq.com. I'm playing around with banners this week, as you can see. So we would love to have you in the group. Otherwise, we will also be back weekly with our webinar series. And I just wanted to really quickly just mention the webinar that we've got next week. So next week is all focused on employer branding. So basically, how do you potentially, as a non-tech brand, build your employer brand to attract top tech talent? And this is something that the community have been crying out for quite some time as a topic. So we've got the amazing Christine who is going to join us next week. So that one should be really, really great one to come and join. It's at the same time. So all of our webinars are at 4 p.m. BST or 8 a.m. PST, depending on where you are in the world. We also will always have them as a replay. But of course, if you join live, you will get to be more interactive, and you might have a particular question that is pertinent to you in your career at the moment. So you can make sure that that gets covered as well. So do
super knowledgeable as well. She's super. I before we joined the Hire community, we were friends on LinkedIn for a very long time, and I've definitely lent on her before. She's incredibly knowledgeable and incredibly generous with her information. So I highly recommend joining that.
It's going to be great. We've been so lucky with the amazing webinars that we've had so far. Everyone has been fantastic. All of our hosts have been brilliant. So yeah, do join next week. But Charlotte, thank you so much for today. It was a fantastic webinar. I feel like we've all got so much to take away from it. And thank you so much for sharing your time with us on a Wednesday, because I know you're really busy as well. So we will leave it there, everyone. Thank you for joining. Hopefully we'll see some of you within the Hire community. And as Charlotte mentioned, we do have a specific channel where we discuss all things early careers, as well as lots of other general channels as well. So do join. Hopefully we will get to continue the conversation there, and hopefully see some of you next week as well.
Great.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you later.